For those of you taking physiology as a course, this video is purposely for you, but also crucial for students taking pathology and pharmacology. In today's video, we're going to dive into something fascinating which we call the smooth muscle contraction. But before then, let's try to understand what a smooth muscle is. When we say the smooth muscles, they are simply the type of muscles that are found in places like the digestive tract, blood vessels, and other organs. Notice that the smooth muscles are unlike the skeletal muscles, which are under conscious control. Smooth muscles work automatically, they are involuntarily. When we say involuntarily, this means you don't need to think about them to get them to move. Notice that the primary requirement for a smooth muscle cell contraction is simply to increase the intracellular calcium, which triggers a series of events. The key word here is the increase of calcium from the intracellular space, which is the ICF. A very quick review on the cell membrane, which we said is made up of phospholipid bilayer. And we said we have the ICF, which stands for intracellular space, intracellular fluid, and we have the ECF, which is extracellular fluid. When we said the intracellular space or fluid, but first of all, let's use the word space. The intracellular space simply means the space which is found inside of a cell. And when we say the extracellular space, this basically means the space which is found outside of the cell. And notice that we said both inside and outside of the cell, they are aqueous environment, meaning they are environment made up of water. And we said we have what we call the interstitial fluid. And that interstitial fluid is simply the fluid which is found in between neighboring cells. And interstitial is the fluid which is found in between neighboring cells. So basically, if we increase the amount of calcium levels inside of a cell, what literally going to result in is increasing contraction. And if you could remember, on our plasma membrane, we have what we call the membrane transferred protein, which is a channel that facilitates the exchange of materials between the ICF and the ACF. But when it comes to smooth muscle contraction, we need voltage-gated channel. This is a channel that opens up in response to change in the membrane potential, allowing calcium influx in from the ECF. The smooth muscle contraction is a complex process involving multiple cellular molecular mechanisms. So I'm going to simplify it by using these mnemonics, which we call 7 doctors cure critical kidney ailment carefully, regularly. You can say carefully and regularly. The first step which we need to follow, protocols which you need to follow for us to have smooth muscle contraction, this S simply stands for stimulation. Next thing on the list is doctors. What is the all we need here is the D. The D simply stands for depolarization. Next is the C, which stands for calcium influx, which is the major one. Next is another C, which is calmodulin myosin light chain kinase. But notice that this is an enzyme. We need to activate this enzyme for us to have the smooth muscle contraction. We said this is calmodulin. Let me use the abbreviation. Calmodulin myosin light chain kinase activation. The next step which we need to follow, this K, if you notice that this is the only one in red, it's not needed. So the next thing is A. This A simply stands for actin. I think this should be a protein. Myosin interaction. And next finally, we have the C, which is the contraction. So what is the opposite of contraction? Opposite of contraction is basically relaxation. So what I'm trying to explain here is this. These are the basic steps which we need to follow for us to have a contraction. Using the mnemonic, 7 doctors cure critical kidney ailment carefully and regularly. stimulation, depolarization, calcium influx, calmodulin myosin light chain kinase activation, actin myosin interaction. Then finally we have the contraction. Opposite of contraction is the relaxation. Stimulation basically have to start from the extracellular fluid, extracellular space. So in context to smooth muscle contraction, stimulation simply refers to the triggers that set off the contraction. Think of it like domino effect. From stimulation, we jump into signal, then we jump into contraction. You can also call stimulation a signal or trigger that tells the smooth muscle contraction to contract. So here we have some type of stimulation. The neurotransmitters, sorry, I made a mistake in the spelling. Neurotransmitters, hormones, and electrical signal. So in case you are interested in what are hormones, I'm going to drop a link down below in the description section which talk about hormones. We said they're chemical messengers that tells a cell what to do, and the cell basically have to respond by doing what that hormone tells it to do. So the neurotransmitters here, they are chemical messengers released by nerve cells like acetylcholine or noradrenaline. And we have the hormones, they are also chemical produced by the gland. Example, we have the oxytocin and adrenaline. We have electrical signal, which is the last one. This electrical signal, these are impulses from the nerve cells. And there is one which I identified, which is mechanical stretches of the muscles. Those also causes what we call the contraction. So next is depolarization. For us to understand the second step of smooth muscle contraction, we need to take a very quick revision and understand the plasma membrane. Here we have a zoomed plasma membrane with sodium-potassium exchanger. If you could remember, we have the extracellular space and 3 molecules of sodium is getting out of the cell, 2 molecules of potassium is getting inside of the cell. Therefore, because of this same reason, the cell membrane has a negative charge of negative 70 millivolts, right? Due to more potassium ions inside and more sodium ions outside of the cell. Notice that during the depolarization process, the cell membrane becomes less negative or more positive. This happens as a result of 2 reasons. The first reason is sodium ions rush into the cell and potassium ions leave the cell. In this case, the cell membrane becomes depolarized, reaching a threshold of negative 55 millivolts. And this triggers what we call the smooth muscle contraction. Some important key point which you need to take down regarding the depolarization is this. Depolarization is a rapid process, and this happens in milliseconds. Also, it is irreversible. The cell returns to its resting state after contraction. And the last one is depolarization triggers calcium ions entry, leading to what we call the smooth muscle contraction. So we are done with depolarization. Next on the list is the calcium influx. Notice that the calcium influx is basically the third process which happened at this point. The third one. Okay, let's use different marker, I guess. The calcium influx, we said it happens here, which is the third step. So what really happened here, when we said calcium is in influx, is simply the rapid entry of calcium ions into the smooth muscles through a specialized channel. And the role of this calcium is basically 2 things. It's triggering the contraction and it contracts the muscles after triggering all the contraction process. So, and you need to understand that before it can do that, calcium have to bind to what we call the calmodulin, actin myosin light chain kinase, which is abbreviated as MLCK. But before then, notice that in our ICF, we have 3 things which are going to be using TrueGov. The first is the sarcoplasmic reticulum. We have the inactive MLCK, which is an enzyme, and we have the inactive myosin. So the influence of calcium basically happen in different type of channels, but we are going to be using the common one, which is the voltage gated channel. A quick review on the depolarization. So basically we said when the depolarization open the voltage gated channel, which is the second step, it will open this channel, voltage gated channel. What will happen is this calcium will keep on moving and move inside of the cell from the ECF. Notice that this is ECF and this is ICF. They have to move from this particular place into this. But remember, we have the sarcoplasmic reticulum, which is also a reservoir for calcium. So what will happen, this calcium will have to move down here, right? So it will activate. The calcium have to bind to calmodulin. Calcium plus inactive calmodulin-myosin light chain kinase will make it active. This is inactive. This time around is going to be active myosin light chain kinase. And we said, remember, this is an enzyme. And notice that this is the fourth step, which we call the calmodulin myosin light chain kinase activation. And this specifically is what we call the complex myosin light chain kinase. So at this point, this is what we call the calmodulin myosin light chain kinase, calmodulin myosin light chain kinase complex. And if you noticed here, we have the inactive myosin, and this inactive myosin have two heads. So basically, the calmodulin myosin light chain kinase complex is the one that will activate the myosin head. We have two myosin head here, which will basically be activated. From inactive myosin, this now become active myosin, ATPase. So basically, this step requires the conversion of ATP into ADP. So here we come to the final step, and this is where things get juicy, which is contraction. It involves the by the myosin head's ATPase activity. So the process of head to end, the head undergo a hormonal changes, producing but not the least is the myosin head passivity. So last thing is going to be result in the contraction. So this is kind of complicated, but true. The actin myosin action is the applying muscle contraction. It involves the filament driven by the myosin by head-based activity. That is just it. So this is it for this problem. I hope you find it helpful. Please, if you do, feel free to click on the subscription button. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. For those of you taking physiology as a course, this video is purposely for you, but also crucial for students taking pathology and pharmacology. In today's video, we're going to dive into something fascinating, which we call the smooth muscle contraction. But before then, let's try to understand what a smooth muscle is. When we say the smooth muscles, they are simply the type of muscles that are found in places like the digestive tract, blood vessels, and other organs. Notice that the smooth muscles are unlike the skeletal muscles, which are under conscious control. Smooth muscles work automatically, they are involuntarily. When we say involuntarily, this means you don't need to think about them to get them to move. Notice that the